Rack your look for spring at Nordstrom Rack and save up to 60% on brands you love. Rag & Bone, Vince, Marc Jacobs, Adidas, Joe's, and more. Great brands, great prices every day at Nordstrom Rack. Score new dresses, denim, sandals, designer bags, and sunglasses, plus updates for the family and home. Get your spring on for less, up to 60% less, today at your Nordstrom Rack store. What will you find?
You haven't heard about the McCrispy yet? Well, then, you probably haven't heard the sweet silence after the first crispy bite either. Go try it for yourself to hear the best nut sound you've ever heard.
Welcome to the motherfucking show.
I recently saw my next guest in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Lincoln Theater. The show was incredible and defined what a live performance should be. He first dropped in 1999 and he continues to elevate his art and shows no sign of slowing down. He's Tech N9ne, and I want to welcome him to the library with Tim Einenkel. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So, I like to always start from the way beginning and, what were the artists? What was the artist listening to when he or she was growing up? So I have to ask you, what were you listening to when you were growing up, and how did that kind of define you as an artist?
What made me want to rap is Ice Cube. I was taken by Ice Cube, Public Enemy, that era, but I started from the beginning, from Rap Dirty with Blowfly, as a child, and from there to Sugar Hill Gang, but those are the songs I danced to, the rappers that made me want to rap, was Ice Cube, anything NWA and Public Enemy.
Were there artists beside, I listen to your music, and there's obviously a lot of influences in there. I feel like not just hip hop influence, but other influences. Were there other, musical genres and artists out there that kind of spoke to you? You necessarily didn't want to go that route with them, but definitely spoke to you as a kid.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about who made me want to rap, but music that inspired me, that I can't deny that inspires me, is The Doors. Hence the name Strange Music.
All right.
And hence me doing Strange Days remake with the remaining members. It was something about the fusion of sounds from Ray Manzarek, John Densmore, Robbie Krieger. There was something about the fusion of sounds that sounded like a dark carnival. And I am into clowns, as a lot of people know. They call me the Killer Clown. Something about their sounds that reminded me of a dark carnival, and the rebel of Jim Morrison. Like, the rules don't apply to him. I always liked that persona about him. And the Doors just really inspired me to go gung-ho and do my own thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
To name one.
Right. There's I always think it's interesting. There's always, comedians have that kind of that comedian that, people might not know about, but definitely inspires them. For you, was there kind of an MC that I know you named Ice Cube and Public Enemy, but people we obviously know who they are. But was there an MC that people might have not have made it, but definitely was kind of a big impact in your art, informing you as an MC?
Yeah, it was a group that I worked with in, was it 93 when I was in LA? It was a group that I worked with out of Houston, Texas, called Red Rum, and a guy named Marcus and a guy named Pop. Pop did the beats. They were sinister. I love the sinister of Red Rum. They never made it, but they had something else going on. You know what I'm saying? It was otherworldly. You know what I mean? And it inspired me back then. If I never thought about that. I never thought about that. I had to think about it. I never got asked that question. There was somebody that nobody knew that inspired me. I'm like, yeah, there was a group called Red Rum from Houston, Texas.
That's dope. That's so cool. You've done a lot of music, obviously. You 21 plus years of doing this. When you go into a studio session, how do you prepare for that? Do you listen to other people's music? Do you try to black out, what's going on around you?
I block out everything that's going on around me, and I'm in my own zone. I have a thing called a dictaphone where I write, and then I record the pitch of how I'm going to say it and the rhythm of how I'm going to say it. And when I get to the studio, I listen to it to make sure that I can say it properly before I get on the mic. You know what I mean? Because it's different when you're whispering at night, right? And you get on the mic and you have to project. And sometimes when you project, you can slur if you project too hard. You know what I mean? So when you get in the booth, you have to find the pitch that's perfect for that flow. And it usually takes me like one take, you know what I mean, to see what pitch I'm going to do. We'll do like a test run. Me and my engineer, Ben, we call him Bengineer, we'll do a test run. I'm like, I got to see what pitch I'm going to use on this. Am I going to be loud? Am I going to be medium? Am I going to be low-voiced? You know what I mean? And then he'll play the beat, and I'll find it. You know what I mean? Within that first little practice run, I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to say it. You know what I mean? But the dictaphone helps me a lot when I'm writing because it makes it so I don't lose the pitch of when I say a certain word, or it lets me know how I said it on the beat, and I'm playing the beat from my pill, recording, rapping into my dictaphone on the beat, so the beat and me are married on the dictaphone, so I'll know exactly how I'm supposed to say it when I get in the studio. Like if I'm writing on Saturday and my studio session is Monday, by the time I get there Monday, it'll be in my dictaphone how I'm supposed to say it. You know what I mean? And that's how I do it. When do these? I'm sure it's different for every time, but when do the lyrics, or when do you find it best? Like when do you find you're most creative? I remember speaking, I think a couple years ago, to Crooked Eye, and he says like he does his most creative work when he's driving actually to the studio, because I think it's like an hour and a half away from him. When do you find yourself being like, I come up with questions when I'm at the gym, type thing. But when do you find yourself being the most creative? My brain never stops creating. I wish I could sleep a lot longer, but mine never stops creating. People have certain times when they're most creative. Like Chris Calico is just like Crooked Eye. He likes to drive and write. I don't. I like high ceilings. I like to think out loud, so I need to be by myself. You know what I mean? I can do it anywhere, but I go when I'm not in my comfort zone in my own studio. I look for high ceilings, brightness, no music, you know what I mean? So I can get usually I go in a hotel lobby if I'm on tour, and if the ceilings are high, I can think out loud, you know what I mean? Look around, and I'm not confined, you know what I'm saying? But I can do it anywhere, It's always creating my brain.
Is that, you look, doing obviously research for the interview, the Calm Before the Storm debuted in 1999, and then you go through the discography, and it's pretty much an album a year, except there was a period between 2006 and 2006 where you did two albums, but Absolute Power in 2006 and Ever Ready in Absolute Power in 2002 and Ever Ready in 2006.
2006, yeah.
Was that your plan to, have that much music out, a year at a time, or as you say, you're always creating, so it's it was bound to happen that you were going to have that much music out every year at a time?
I had no idea that I was going to have the most top tens on Billboard, over E40 or over Gucci Mane. I had no idea. I was just writing my life, and I never stopped creating, and now they say I have 21 albums, so my albums are old enough to drink now. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea that I was going to do this much music. I had no idea that I would still be having ideas, or still be inspired. But I know the title of my next album already. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
And so I want to get to stuff, because I obviously mentioned that I saw you live in North Carolina, and I want to talk about just the live show and how that works for you. But when you look back at two things, the Calm Before the Calm Before the Storm will celebrate its 20th anniversary and November 9th of this year. Kind of looking back at the creation of that album, was there a favorite part of it when you were making it, and was there like one of those unexpected moments that for the good of it, it actually happened during the recording process?
That was actually, we did The Calm Before the Storm in 1996, but it came out late in those years that you're saying.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Wow. So we started recording it in 96, and we went to L.A. and got beats from QD3, and we was all over the place. You know what I mean? Using beats that we got out there in L.A. and using songs that we did in Don Juan's mom's basement. You know what I mean? It's bleak because it was so long ago. And all I remember about recording and doing the artwork to The Calm Before the Storm is that my best friend Brian was still alive, and he did the artwork. And we traveled everywhere to get beats. I just don't really recall too much because it's so long ago, 96. And I was on a label called Midwest Side Records back then. And I met Travis in 98. We started doing business in 99 and put out an album in 2001, you know what I mean? And The Calm Before the Storm, I guess the Midwest Side, the people who started Midwest Side put it out, you know what I mean? And I don't recall much about doing it, but that,
right.
It's so long ago, 96, man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can't tell you what I was doing in 1996, so yeah, I definitely get that.
I started doing drugs shortly after that in 98, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a lot of the things like that were pre-ecstasy shrooms and acid and GHB, it's like it disappeared. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I want to kind of jump to, I guess your latest album would have been Nina, right?
Yes.
The title track you spit, what I hear out here is not stunning. Sounds like y'all disregarded what Biggie and Pac brung in. For you, what are you kind of hearing out there in terms of what the state of hip hop music is? But also, what are the kind of the lessons that have been lost or not being used by today's artists that Biggie and Tupac kind of brought to the game?
Well, when you think of Biggie and Tupac, you think about prolific artists, you know what I mean? That speech was not slurred, you know what I'm saying? The speech and, Biggie, the talent to make a hit record with style and finesse, and Pac with the talent to reach people's souls and, kind of like spiritual being, you know what I mean? That's what they taught the game, but the game don't seem like they picked it up. You know what I mean? The strength of these artists. A lot of things today are slurred, and you have to go look on Google to see if they have the correct words.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you can hear Biggie and Pac clearly. You know what I mean? And they inspired nations. You know what I'm saying? And today, we don't have many of those. That's all. What I hear out here is not stunning. Sound like I disregarded what Biggie and Pac brought in. But me, I've been ripping shows having a thought summit. You know what I'm saying? Just like I picked up all that, but I did my own thing, in a different way. And it's power music, like Public Enemy taught me, like NWA taught me, power music. You know what I mean?
Speaking of Public Enemy, you said in an interview you learned about the live show, kind of what you said. The old school taught me how to put on a live show. What kind of I recently saw you in a live show. What elements of their live shows have you kind of brought to your own and made your own actually during your live show?
Have you ever seen a Public Enemy show and you see the S1Ws in unison doing the same moves?
Yes.
And I mean, I caught on to that. You know, I'm sizzling. Even those military moves, they were on beat and they were precise and all together. You know, and you know, it just taught me to, you know, it was a spectacle to see. You know, I've always been a dancer, so I put that within my show. If you came to the show, you probably saw me and Chris doing some of the same dances, the same movements. You know what I mean? They were in unison. You know what I mean? I think in North Carolina, the venue was too small to see the screens. We weren't able to bring our screens in, so you didn't see the full show. That we change clothes. You know what I'm saying? We have a wardrobe change. I come out in the face painted mask and everything and the hospital scrubs, and we have a movie that goes with our show. But I learned to be an entertainer from the old school, like NWA. If you saw them, they had the yellow tape and the police and everything. You know what I mean? I got to see Eazy-E on stage and the DOC on stage with Ice Cube and MC Ren and DJ Yella. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Dre. They were over there. You know what I'm saying? It was amazing. And I saw LL Cool J drive out in a Ferrari on stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like real performers, man. That something you won't forget. You know, and the lyrics were powerful. That's what I took from it. I haven't driven a Ferrari on stage yet, but
yet.
You know what I'm saying? But I saw it. You know what I mean? But the steps and the routine of Public Enemy and S1Ws affected us. You know what I mean?
Right. How do you obviously have so much music. How do you plan your live show in terms of just the music? I mean, I was talking to people who have seen you before in, you know, different cities, and they're like, oh, I hope he does this song. I hope he does this song and this song. And it seems like you really get, just from talking to people, that you go to a Tech N9ne show, you're not going to see the same show every time. How do you go about planning? I mean, does it depend on the region that you're going to? Does it depend on, you know, obviously the size of the theater?
Nope. It's a very strenuous task. You know what I'm saying? Because I have so many albums and so many fans that are fans of the stuff from 96 and 99, you know? And I have to start all the way back there and look at the track list of all these records all the way up to now to see what I might miss. You know what I mean? Because the new music can cloud the old music. You know, you have to have songs like Einstein in there. You have to have songs like This Ring and Riot Maker from 06, you know what I mean, as well as the Nina LP songs, you know what I mean? So it's hard, but what we do, we put our track list together in the studio, in the computer, with our live band to come add, you know what I'm saying, live instrumentations to make the music even bigger, you know what I mean? And we have that show. And we'll program it to go for almost an hour, you know, nonstop. And then the manuals will switch throughout the tour, maybe. You know what I mean? Like the manuals, we'll do, we talk in the middle, and then Fragile might come on, or Everybody But Me might come on, you know what I'm sizzling? Like Caribou might come on in the manuals, you know. We can switch around and play with the manuals if we want to and not do the song that night if we don't want to. But for the most part, I pay attention to the fans and what they want to hear on social media before I go do my track list and my set list, that is. And we put it together, man, and we go out, and luckily I'm in tune so much that I end up doing a lot of people's favorite songs. You know?
Does it ever kind of spontaneously change up? And, you know, is there ever a moment where just by feeling...
Only on the manuals. Only on the manuals, not for the whole hour that we program. Every night, what we program up until Speed'em, you know, Worldwide Choppers 2. Right. After that, we'll have a break. you know, I'm sizzling, and that's when we went back and got undressed, and the movie comes back on, this, that, and other. You didn't see that part, though, but without, what you saw was us in the Chiefs jerseys, the whole tour, the whole show, you know what I mean, because the venue wasn't big enough to house what I had for this tour, you know what I mean, but after Speed'em, we get a little rest, and we get to talk, and then Chris will do Anxiety, and then I'll come back out and do this ring, and I'll talk, and this, that, and other, you know what I mean? So the whole first part of the show was programmed the same, but we can play with the manuals at the end, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing that switcheroo. That's the thing that might be a lot different every night, you know what I'm saying?
Right. I want to turn to your collaborations. You've obviously collaborated with you collaborate with a lot of people as well. You've also collaborated. Two of I want to talk about is you collaborate with E40 and Snoop. Their styles, I feel, are totally different. Totally different than yours. How do you know when a collaboration is going to work? I mean, do you only know once you get in the studio with them, or like prior to reaching out? How do you know like this is the collaboration that's gonna
when I hear a beat from my producer 7, and the beat sounds like something that E40 would sound good on, or Snoop, I'm gonna say this is the one I'm gonna send in E40 and Snoop, and then I'll call them and tell them it's coming, and they'll say send it, and they'll do it for free and send it back.
It's not bad. Free is good.
Same thing with Eminem. You know what I mean? When I heard the beat for Speed, I'm like, oh my God, this is the one for M. Trav talked to Paul Rosenberg, and Rosenberg got it to Eminem, and he loved it. He did it for free and sent it back. Same thing with Corey Taylor. When I heard the beat for Wither from my producer 7, Stone Sour was coming into town, and I had the beat, and I got backstage. They got me backstage to talk to Corey, and I played it to him, and he loved it. And I gave him a copy of it. He did it, sent it back for free. And I say that, and it's funny, but it lets you know the amount of respect from all the artists. I've never paid for collaboration. Knock on wood, throughout my life. You know what I mean? It makes me feel so good that these people that I'm revered, that they waive the fee, and these are top tier artists as well.
Has there been, thinking about all the people you've collaborated with, has there ever been, or do you remember that first time that you kind of were, in a friendly way, kind of were forced to, I guess, maybe step up your lyrical game when you got on a track with someone else?
No, like Eminem said, my spot is forever reserved. You know what I mean? So I do me at all costs. I do me, and nobody ever sends me their verse. I have to send my verse to them so they can test to see what I'm going to do, and then they try to outdo me. Like when I had a song called Sriracha, and I sent it to Joyner Lucas, and he hears my verse, like, okay, I'm gonna go, and everybody like, why you let Joyner get you like that? I'm like, I did me. You know what I'm saying? Like I heard a rumor about Busta Rhymes. He told people, whoever he does musically, he said, don't let anybody hear my verse. I don't want nobody to hear my verse because they're going to try to outdo me. You know what I'm saying? I don't worry about that.
Right.
Because I do me, and I do me like nobody else. You know, so nobody ever makes me want to step my rap game up, because my rap game has been stepped up since I got on the mic.
So are you essentially your own sounding board, so to say? Like you kind of, it as long as it runs through the Tech N9ne test, it's good, and clears it, it's good.
Well, yeah, I won't get on the mic if it's whack. I'll know when I put it in my dictaphone, and I'm like, that sounds weird, so I'll release it, and I'll write something else. You know what I mean? I don't get on the mic, and I'm sure when I get in there. Almost like 99% sure. You know what I mean? Because you never know if it's going to work, because you're always trying something different. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I get in there, I'm like, I'll tell my my engineer Ben. I was like, Ben, man, if this comes through on the mic like it did in my dictaphone, he's like, it always comes through, Tech. You always say that. I'm like, I know, but I just gotta. You never know, though. You know, it's like, nah, I don't like that. You know what I mean? So I usually know before I get on the mic, 99% that it's gonna work.
I have a couple more questions. I want to turn back to the track "Nina," where you spit, "We soldiers living in this country and well aware of your hate. This country from the jump ain't nothing but terror mistake." So I think that would be a good thing if it said "Make America Great."
Yeah.
When does the kind of the inspiration for spitting quote unquote political lyrics come to you, and also what do you think it is? What is hip hop's responsibility when it comes to kind of, you know, spitting, being political or speaking out against the injustices?
Well, you know, it's on TV every day. You know what I mean? And you see the division, you know, and the divisiveness, you know. And people were really asking Donald Trump, like, when was it great before?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe for him in his life, you know what I'm saying? But poverty has always been a thing for a lot more people, for a lot of other people that can't afford health care, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? So Make America Great, again, was the thing, because the messenger, even though he wasn't the first president to say it, you know what I mean? But that messenger was also recorded saying, in the good old days, we would have got him up out of here. We would have used more force. The police would have used more force to get that black guy out of here during one of his rallies. You know what I'm saying? In the good old days, he kept on referencing the good old days. And then David Duke stood up, and started agreeing. In the good old days, the good old days, the good old boys was the Klan. So now, Make America Great Again sounds like when black folks were enslaved. So now there's a problem when Kanye wears it. Now there's a gang hat when everybody wears it, because Make It Great Again means without no niggas. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I said, so I think that hat would have been a good thing if it said Make America Great. It was something we can do together as human beings, an effort together to make it great for everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you see it too. Like, I mean, you see it with the, you know, the focus now again on the Central Park 5, where even though there's DNA evidence.
I just spoke about Corey Wise in a rap I did. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, in a recent rap? In a recent rap?
Yeah, in a recent rap I did for one of my artists, Ubi, Ubiquitous of Fest Crew. It's a song called Madness Remix. And I said, what I can do to a bad human will leave you mortified, killing off demons for the innocence of Corey Wise. You know, I said something like that.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's just like, even with DNA evidence, they're still convinced that these, you know, 5 young men are guilty.
Oh, my God.
And it's like
so crazy.
And it's obviously because
so crazy. No blood on them, no nothing.
No nothing. They're like,
and everybody knows the real story, you know what I'm saying? But nobody wants to be wrong for that kind of atrocity.
Right, because also at the same time, what happens is if they admit they're wrong, that their entire system of this racist justice system falls apart.
Yeah.
In their eyes.
Yeah.
So
they scared the kids into saying these things, said they would help them. You know what I mean? They were stupid enough to do it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's
you know what I'm saying? They're kids.
It's crazy too.
You know what I mean? This is my first rape. What? You didn't rape anybody. You know what I'm saying? Just tell the police what they want to know. No. Don't tell them what they want to know. You tell them what you know.
Right.
But, you know, no guidance back then. You know what I'm saying? Look what they had to go through. Being afraid little kids. All because they were in Central Park that night.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's crazy. They were saying the Matea guy was the 6th person, but it was only his blood, and he was the only one that had the correct story.
Right.
They know what it is, man.
Yeah, no, it's.
But nobody wants to say. Nobody came and said they're sorry, but they gave them money. You know what I'm saying? That's not enough money for what they went through.
No,
in my opinion.
No, it's they obviously deserve more. It's so No, it's crazy what happened with them, and now
it's divided, man. Yeah. It's divided. You know what I mean? And I've been preaching togetherness since the beginning, and now, man, in my 48 years of living, man, it's like people are stuck in their ways, man, and not too many want it. Not too many. They want their comfort zone. You know what I mean? You got people that won't come to my show because they say there's too many white people. I've heard it for years. You know what I'm saying? You got people who won't go to a certain show because there's too many black people. Because they don't feel comfortable. You know what I mean? And I don't. You know, on my album, I think The Storm or Planet. It was Planet. I was saying people need each other. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand they need each other to help each other up. You know, and it just seems like that nobody. They just want to stay in where they are. You know what I mean? And that's a sad thing. It's divided, and it's always been divided. And you know, people in certain settings, they can coexist. You know what I mean? But man, it looks bleak.
Yeah, no,
and that's the reality of life. You know, it looks bleak for us, man. You know what I'm saying? And you see it on the news. And people fear each other. You know what I'm saying? And fear causes anger, and anger causes death. You know what I'm saying? Or to hurt somebody. You know.
Yeah.
So you know. It's just me observing people and injustices, you know. And I think that would have been a good thing if it said Make America Great, because it would be a work in progress, you know.
If
you say again, you have to tell us when was it for you.
Right.
It might be different for somebody else.
Right. It's It's like for them, it's. I think it's before Obama, and then after.
If I had to say Make America Great again, I'm like, okay, maybe when I was a kid and I had no worries.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, because I had worries back then too. My mom was sick and she had epilepsy, and you know, it was crazy.
Right.
Crazy. But go ahead.
Oh. I was gonna. I mean, do you see? I mean, with the current political climate, do you see yourself? I mean, obviously, you can't foreshadow what lyrics are going to come to you, you know, when you're being creative. But do you see yourself kind of having more quote unquote political lyrics in your music, especially under a kind of a Trump presidency?
When I see injustices, that's what I speak about. You know what I mean? Because I'm an angel, so you know, I try to keep my political views to myself. You know what I mean? Because people have different views.
Right.
You know, I try to keep my religious views to myself because people have a different outlook. You know what I mean? And people will fight and kill over their beliefs. You know what I mean? So I try not to show my hand too much. But the thing I said about the hat was pretty neutral. You know what I'm saying? I was just giving a solution. You take that again off, and we're working together.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I didn't take a side. You know what I mean? But I didn't let them know what side. I just let them know that I didn't agree with again. You know? And I try to keep it kind of like never let them see your hand you're playing, because they'll be able to read you your rights. You know what I'm saying? If they know what hand you're playing and try to trump you. No pun intended.
Right. So this is my final question, and it might be one that, you know, you just don't have, you know, it'd be hard to answer because you've done so many of them. But is there kind of a lyric that you've written out there that still kind of blows you away, in the sense that, like, you're like, holy shit, I'm good, you know, type lyric? And this is a guy who's asking a question who's never who's tried to write a lyric in 6th grade, but and have failed miserably ever since. So,
well, I have thousands of fans that have lyrics that I wrote on their bodies forever, and I'm trying to picture which one that sticks out the most. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I write my life, you know. I remember when I wrote, like, when I was young, my heart hates my brain, because my brain makes me do things that cause my heart pain, you know. And my fans back then, they loved it, you know what I mean? But, you know, they have so many quotes from me, you know. I can't think of one that sticks out with 21 albums, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, and I realized as I was asking you that question, that's going to be a kind of a loaded question to ask.
Probably after you know, we get off this phone and then I'm having my day and I'm out, it'll probably hit me like, oh man, I said this. I was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? But I say that about a lot of my lyrics. Like when I'm writing, I laugh. Wow, that's tight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I said, if we didn't fear each other, we can stand near each other. We could stand near each other. And my fans like that. And I was like, that's real. That makes me feel like, yeah, that's real. If we didn't fear each other, we could stand near each other. And we would kill each other. You know? Right.
That's dope. It's like,
yeah,
it's just like a simple solution, and it speaks so much.
All your wildest dreams are on the other side of fear. That's what Will Smith said, and I love that one.
That's dope. That's a good one. Tech N9ne, I mean, it's been, I'm so honored that I had an opportunity to see you in concert, but then also actually got to speak to you today on the library with Tim Einenkel, and I want to thank you so much for doing the interview.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. It was casual.
Cool. That's great to hear. I'm looking forward to the new album whenever.
Totally. It's called Interfere. That's crazy. We're just talking about fear, but it's one word and it's spelled like ENTERFEAR. Interfere. I'm entering fear, and at the end of the album, I want to exit all those motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
There's not many fears I have. And fear is what we all have to get over. If we didn't fear each other, we could stand near each other. So my next album, one word, interfere. Because I want to enter the fear. You know?
That's dope. Tech N9ne, thank you so much for being on the library with Tim Einenkel. I really appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right.